Hey guys, today I'm going to tell you why men have to stop approaching women way out of their league. Now, I know this is a little bit of a controversial topic, but it is a source of great frustration for guys getting involved in learned attraction for the first time. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what this whole league thing is all about. I'm going to introduce you to a topic called social intelligence. And I'm going to show you exactly how any guy can raise his social intelligence or raise his league so that he is a far better match for the type of woman he really wants to attract. I want you to picture a really socially awkward guy. Let's pick a stereotype that is let's say a super socially awkward computer nerd. And then I want you to imagine that there's a girl who is the really hot, she's the top of the social group. Let's say like a cheerleader stereotype for want of something better. And he walks up and starts trying to hit on her. And as you watch it, there's something that's so socially awkward about this scene. It's almost painful to watch because you know it can't end well. This is social league. This is what we mean by dating out of your league. And no amount of pickup tricks, no amount of like magical learned attraction stuff can overcome this social rule of dating outside of your league. You just can't. The good news is that you can learn to increase your league, as I said in the introduction, but that takes time and effort. And I think a lot of guys in the learned attraction arena get disappointed because they're kind of told that you can change this by next Tuesday. The good news is that a lot of what's taught does work. And until you do improve your social value, you can still use those strategies on women. If you just instead, that guy were to focus on women who were as socially awkward as he is, then he'll be highly successful. So we first need to explore what this league thing is that I've mentioned a few times. We all I think a lot of us get it in a very gut level, but I call this social intelligence. And social intelligence is a high understanding of and fluid ability to adapt to social context. So it's our ability to read what's happening in all social contexts very quickly and adapt. You know, it's knowing what's the right thing to say at the right time. When is a good time to tell a joke? When is a good time to stay silent? You know, when is a good time to tease a mate? When is a good time to hold back from doing that? It's understanding things like even fashion and style plays a role in this. Whether you choose to go along with it and dress like everyone else or not is irrelevant, but understanding how that fits together. It's oftentimes, it's a little bit similar to what we call social calibration, and being uncalibrated is a term you hear a lot in pickup circles. But that's what it's about. And social intelligence is something that we get it largely from our parents. You'll notice if you think back to school, you had the cool kids who were generally high social intelligence, and you had the really uncool kids who were generally low social intelligence. And if you looked at their parents, you'd see that there's quite a mirror. The cool kids had parents who you kind of tell were cool kids when they were younger. And the uncool kids, by the way, I was in the uncool kid group. But, the uncool kids tended to have parents who were relatively uncool as well, or let's say they had lower social intelligence. Now, there are some social rules around social intelligence and who you can date at certain social intelligence levels. And it works like this. It works actually quite similar to age. So imagine a guy who's 14 years old. He could date a girl who's 14 years old, and it would be normal. He could probably date a girl who's 15 years old, and it would probably be normal. But if he tried to date a girl who was 19 years old, all of a sudden, it would be kind of painful to watch him hitting on her because it would be considered socially awkward. On the flip side, if he went over and started hitting on a girl who was 13 years old, he might get away with it. But if he hit on a girl who's 12 years old or even 11, God forbid, he'd be open to social ridicule. So he has a very narrow range of age ranges he can approach. However, you take the same guy who's 34 years old, heck, he can hit on a woman who's 40, no one bats an eyelid. He can hit on a girl who's 24, nobody bats an eyelid. Barely anyone cares. So the higher your social intelligence, the much broader range of social intelligence women you can date. So a lot of guys come in and they start really, really low, really awkward, socially awkward, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's a very narrow range of women who you can date without things being strange. So you don't have to become like the king of the social scene. You don't have to become the most socially savvy guy on earth. You just have to get yourself to a point where you're, let's say, just above average. And then you can pretty much date almost any girl you see, at least according to the social intelligence rules. And then you can apply what you learn in learned attraction stuff to huge effect. And then you can be attractive to most women you see. Now, there are ways that you can break this rule. So if you are, let's say, low social intelligence and then you become super wealthy, I'm certain that you could find a really super hot woman from the cream of the social group crop to date you and marry you. But then who are you dating and marrying, and what are you really paying? You're paying a horrible price, because you are going to end up with a gold digger through and through. If you have a job with a lot of power and power is your thing, you're going to find a woman who's dating you for your power. She's willing to make a concession on the social value rule to date a guy who's powerful. And again, that's going to lead to pain and suffering down the line. So you can buck the trend, but you can't avoid paying the piper one way or another. So what does a socially awkward guy do? What do you do if you know that you have low social intelligence? Really, it's quite simple. The Cliff Notes, the short version, is you got to go out and you got to be hyper social a lot, frequently. You have to amass all the social experience that a lot of other guys got really, really early on in life, and you need to amass it now. So yeah, look, going out and approaching women in a bar or club, like as often as possible, that's good. That's certainly going to slowly raise your social intelligence, because you're consistently meeting new people. And actually, this is a big part of it. Meeting new people, that is, being in novel situations where you don't have your friend groups to support you. However, growing your social intelligence just by hitting on women is a rather slow way to do it, because you have a huge amount of stress and anxiety, or almost everyone does have a lot of stress and anxiety around approaching women. And that negates your ability to learn social context quickly, because you've got too much else to think about. Instead, what I highly recommend guys do is start going out multiple times a week to events where they don't know anyone. Now, ideally, you want to go to events that are inclusive. They are socially inclusive. So events where the people there are going to be friendly and going to be welcoming and going to be introducing you to the group, not events that are going to be socially exclusive. Like, say, don't go to a rock concert on your own. That could be really tough. But no, go to things like, start a lesson, do some photography classes, or, do salsa classes, or learn a new language. If you don't want to pay money, I highly recommend you join something like meetup.com and you'll find in your area, you'll find walking groups, you'll find, general interest groups, you'll find trivia nights. Going to events like this where you don't know anyone, people are going to be friendly. They're going to introduce you to the other members of the group. You're going to have temporary friends, but being in new environments with new people repeatedly is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for everyone. I don't particularly enjoy it, and I'm a very social guy these days. But it's incredible for building rapidly your social intelligence. The other skill set of all the skills, of all the pickup skills that guys try to teach that are critical for social intelligence, okay, it's teasing and banter. You need to practice teasing and banter with everyone, not just cute women, but guys, people at work, family, friends, everybody. The reason is that teasing and banter requires a high degree of social intelligence to get right. So every time you try bantering with people, every time it fails, you're learning about context. You're learning about, this wasn't quite the right timing. So you're learning a lot about these things. So humor is a very big skill that you should be practicing if you want to rapidly raise your social value. I just want to add something important here, because I think it's important to note. Social intelligence is not a form of value. You shouldn't be thinking, I need to date a woman with the highest social intelligence possible because that'll be somehow better for me, because it's not. It really isn't. It has no determination on how good a partnership is going to be, or has no determination on anything, really. You're not trying to become the most social person in the world. You're not trying to hit on the most socially important woman in the world. All you want is to be able to date the women that you see in day-to-day life without breaking social rules. And honestly, it's the social intelligence thing, that what people tend to call league, is one of them. And league is not about looks. It's just that there tends to be a correlation. So, attractive guys and attractive girls tend to be more highly socialized when they're younger. So they learn the social skills earlier. So the two look like they go in lockstep, but they don't. It's all about social intelligence. I know I've said this word a lot, but it's critically important. To wrap everything up, guys, when you first start learning attraction, focus on women who seem to be at roughly the same social level as you. If you want to get success, if you want to see results from the attraction skills you're learning, focus on those women for now. In the meantime, get out, be as social as possible, hypersocial, be around people where you don't know anyone, do it regularly, do it consistently, and your social intelligence is going to go up. And then you're going to be able to, approach and successfully attract higher and higher social intelligence women, which is really what you got into this game for. Just be aware, you should expect this process to take months. I think for a guy to go from really low social intelligence to being average is about a 6-month journey. To go from being really low social intelligence to being above average, where you can pretty much approach almost any girl and it's not going to be awkward, that's a journey of a year. And this explains why some guys can get into learned attraction and bam, they've got it straight away, because they've already got that social intelligence down pat. And other guys don't. Not every man starts this journey on the same level. So I don't think that anyone should feel bad about it. I don't think anyone should feel ashamed that, oh, that guy over there got this really quickly and I'm struggling. You should struggle. You've been unlucky in the way, in the social gifts that life has given you, the social experience. But now's the time that you can change that. So you just got to get stuck in and take action. So guys, this has been a little bit controversial. I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you loved the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video.